Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. As y'all can see, today's video is going to be what if Isagi was trained by Snuffy prior to Blue Lock, and this is going to be the third and final part of the series. If you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this series, and I hope that y'all have enjoyed everything that I have brought out on this channel so far. If y'all have any series recommendations for me to do, please put them down in the comment section below, and I would love to do them that have the time. But with all that said and done, let's get into the video. So we get started off right during the end of the game against the Twins and right before the game against Nagi's team. At this point, obviously, since there is no cheating or anything else going on like that, when they meet during the cafeteria this time around, it's not really much of anything to really be discussed. As I've already said, I think in the last part, they are just talking with each other, getting ready for that game tomorrow. As once the game would start, Nagi would already be going all out. Isagi and him had a full-on conversation, and Isagi could tell that Nagi wasn't going all out, and he said, "You might want to do that when you go against me if you don't want to just automatically lose." As that's exactly what he would do, because he kind of got annoyed just by hearing Isagi talk, and he knew that this was going to be a harder match, so he actively took the opportunity to take everything that he got and go straight out before they even get started. So as soon as they start, Nagi's already going full out, which gives Isagi the chance to really have some fun with it. With everyone actually going on their fullest and strongest moves in the beginning, the game starts off quite differently. Yes, Isagi's team is still the first to score, like it's gonna be the very first to score either way, but Nagi going full out so quickly gives them the chance to be able to make a few points themselves. They're able to make 2-3 shots by themselves using their three-man duo. But as soon as Isagi has actively had his fun with playing around with Nagi, they get into the mood of actively going all out. They actually have their fun and they start going in. Isagi starts making shot after shot after shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. He passes the ball to Kunigami. Kunigami makes the ball in the shot 1, 2, 3. Giving him already up to 7, and by the end of the game, it quite honestly gets so close to 10 that it's just hilarious. Nagi's team was almost devastated by this loss. They didn't really know exactly what to do because they were just taken out so dominantly. They were taken out so quickly that it was just something that they were not expecting whatsoever. It was just something that they saw and had happen that really was something that they were never expecting, in all honesty. As we skip over to the end of everything, after about a week-long training before they would get started into the second selection, they would meet everyone in the middle of the room, in the middle of the Blue Lock field. Everyone seeing each other for the first time, and all of the groups being back together, seeing exactly how strong these other teams look. Rin still does his thing and he ends up going in first, and Isagi ends up going in second. Isagi, not really in the mood to be the first few people down and done, because honestly he knows he's gonna win either way, but he doesn't want to be on the same team as the top players, for the main reason that he just wants to completely destroy them, and he wants to be the one to dominate against them, so he doesn't want to go against them. He doesn't want to be on their team. So for around the first 5 minutes of the Blue Lock man, he literally just chooses to sit down, take a little rest, not do anything. After those 5 minutes are done, he starts it off kind of slow and then speeds it up as time goes along. He ends up still being done around the same number that he finished at originally, but that was this time only because of choice. This time people were surprised to see that he was done so late, especially anyone that had played with him before. But then he would just go on to explain that he chose to be done this late. He literally just spent the first 5 minutes sitting down. He knew those would be the minutes that he would have been able to finish it almost by himself instantly without any kind of problems, anything else like that. It was just him choosing to not really be bothered at the moment. As they understand this, and they understand that that's exactly what he chose to do, so they don't really bother. Nagi wants to play with Isagi still, so he asks if Isagi would want to join him in Rail's team. Isagi says he's fine playing with Nagi, but he's waiting for Bachira. As Bachir around, and he's like, okay, if you want to join, you can join us too, but that's it. That is, so if you want to leave Rayo behind, you can come with us, but if not, choose whatever you choose. As Nagi would say yes, then they would go in. They would go and choose their match against Rin the same way that they did this time, because Isagi could see that these guys were the top 3 people who done first. So he just wanted to see exactly what strongness and how much strength that these guys had to have had to be able to really do and be considered the top players. He just wanted to see exactly what they would to be considered as. So the match would start. They would go into the field and get the match started. Isagi's team would get the ball first, and Isagi would be able to surprise everybody because they hadn't played with him before by speeding past them. Not like obviously dominantly speeding past them, but moving past them in a surprising way that they weren't expecting, to be able to get the first shot off very easily. Rin, now seeing this, even the fact that he wasn't able to catch Isagi and actively notice how he was moving just with his own eyes, and the fact that he wasn't able to track Isagi was something that confused him a little bit. But now that he's seen Isagi move, he's thinking that he should be able to track Isagi and actively watch where he's moving. Not true at all. As the match keeps going along, Isagi is able to track Rin, but Rin cannot really track Isagi. Yes, he's very good, and he can catch up to Isagi in some movements, but not perfectly. He's always like a step or 2 behind. As Rin's confused by this, he thought he was an amazing player, but now he's seeing Isagi doing a lot of these crazy moves, along with Nagi working as a team so close in tandem. It's really surprising him. The match goes along, and Rin and his team obviously are able to get a good few points because how strong they are working together. But it just kind of doesn't work out in their favor as they go along. Yes, Rin's able to do a lot, but the thing is, Isagi's more adept at noticing exactly how they're moving and making a strategy against that. He's able to just make plans against what they're doing and how they're moving, and just completely create strategies to go completely against that and dominate and steer everything away from them. None of them were expecting that, and none of them were even expecting any of the movement that he was even doing. As by the match is over, Isagi's team was able to just dominate almost completely, getting that 5 points within just so fast that no one was really expecting anything else to be like that. They were able to dominate, and by the end, they're just like, okay, who are we going to choose? Who are you going to choose? Obviously, they end up choosing Rin because he was like the closest in their strength relative. Obviously, the other guys were amazing too, but nah, they ended up choosing Rin. As they have to wait for a little while for the next people to actively get over to them, but by eventually, another group would be able to get to them. This team being Rayo, Boro, Chigiri, and one other person. This other person being none other than Kunigami. He has made it this far, but will he continue to really stay around? We don't know yet. As that they would choose to go against each other just for the fun of it, and that's exactly what would happen. They all just want to beat Isagi and completely take over him, but that would not be exactly how it goes. The match would start, and they would be the ones to have the ball first, but within maybe a few moves and a few plays, they would not really be able to get too far along with it. Nagi, Isagi, and Rin working together are too much for them. Yes, they're able to get a few shots, and Baro being able to just rush past and get a shot in himself, but that's really all that he's going to be able to do. Isagi knows how Baro plays, and he knows that there's not going to be any passing from Baro, so he knows just leave him alone. It's not going to really bother anything, honestly. It's just going to be something that doesn't really help or bother them at all, so it's just going to be boring if they try doing anything against him. They just know exactly how he plays, so they just choose to leave it alone. They keep going, and they actually keep a watch out for a few of the other guys. Chigiri specifically because of his speed, and Rail because of his just movement and the way that he plays. They all know exactly what to be prepared for, and they've been discussing this during the time that they weren't playing. They've been practicing during that time and really been training to get more cohesive with each other during those, like the training while they weren't playing any matches against anybody. They were completely prepared to do whatever they needed to do, but the match didn't really end and start like actively go long enough for them to be bothered with. After a good decent while, Nagi and Isagi and Ren were able to dominate quite honestly. Bachira being able to pass to these two monsters that he was playing with and just have some fun, really. He wasn't expecting it, but he was just completely glad to be able to play with these big monsters that he had not really been able to notice before. It was just something that he hadn't noticed that he now is just getting to play with. By the end of the match, the score was only literally 2-5, as the person that they would end up choosing this time around would be none other than Chiguri. His speed was the biggest asset to them, so that's exactly how they would go. Baro was useless for them. Kunigami, yes, had his strengths, but if he had chosen him and Baro, if they had chosen anybody else, Baro and Kunigami are close to similar, just with different personalities. So it would just been choose one or the other. And Rail didn't have any real special attributes for them to really be choosing to take in anything else like that. So they just kind of left it alone. This obviously creates the down spiral for one of them to be taken out of everything, because they end up just losing a few more times and losing until one of them gets taken out. Obviously being Kunigami. So with them now having their complete and total 5-man team, it would be time for them to go against the World 5. The World 5 match would still be as hard as it would normally be, as once we get into the beginning of the match, before we even started off, they're still getting annoyed about the fact that they're not really taking this as a true and actual honest game. Isagi is more specifically annoyed because he knows how good he is and he knows how strong of a player he is. So to be looked down like this is really something that's just annoying him to his core. He has never been treated like this, and he's just really annoyed for the most part, to be not really even thought of as an actual threat in any kind of sense of like that. The fact of that is just really annoying him, and he's really getting pissed off by that. He tells everybody that we're going to dominate. He might not expect to win completely, but he's hoping that he's just wanting to dominate. They know that most likely they could lose, but them's the breaks. They should be able to win, but they have the possibility of losing. So the match would start. Julie and Loki's speed would still be overwhelming for them, and Isagi couldn't even deal with that if he wanted to. Yes, they have Chiguri, which is going to help out a lot, but he doesn't have the same speed compared to Julie and Loki, so even he can't do too much against him. He's the closest one to be able to compare to him, but not really. Loki doesn't notice almost any singular weaknesses in Isagi, so he knows Isagi has to be a very decent player for him to not have any weaknesses that he could actively utilize and go against. That's really not something that you see that often, as yes, they're still able to get a few shots in and still able to obviously get a few good goals in, getting up to like 3 very quickly. But Blue Lock team is able to actively hold off their own and be able to get 3 shots themselves, using Isagi and Rin as the main catalyst for those shots, and using everybody else as kind of just backliers and really helpers for that. But the World 5 is still an amazingly strong team. The World 5 is able to get to their 4, and Blue Lock knows that they need to make a comeback if they need to even get a chance of winning this. They're able to get that 4th point using Isagi to be able to just kind of use the moves that he knows, and kind of gets in to make that 4th singular shot. But besides that, it's kind of right there where it ends. They still end up losing, but it was a very, very close match. No one was expecting Blue Lock to even get the 4 shots off of them. The fact that they were able to do that, the World 5 was really just like, are we getting old? Are we getting rusty? These kids shouldn't have been able to get that many shots off of us, but they did. How strange. But that is where I'm going to leave this story off. If you guys did enjoy this series and this story, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and give me opinions on other series that y'all would like to see on this channel. If y'all have any, please put them down in the comments and I would do them as soon as I can. But with all of that said and done, peace.